The AAP stand on that is no bottles, no pacifers, no pumping for 4 weeks. And that's pretty spot on accurate. Before your 3-week growth spurt, your body is really looking for what you want as far as the milk supply. So if you're pumping on top of breastfeeding, you're bringing in milk for twins, really. I mean, for those of you that aren't having twins. If you are,
and the time you're taking.
Right, that's true too. And if you are then giving a pacifier and skipping a feeding, say, which would happen. Most babies are, mature enough neurologically to kind of spit it out and scream right through it in order to get their feeding accomplished. But there are the occasional babies that the AAP doesn't want to see pacify through. The other concerns are that you don't want nipple confusion, which is a really real thing, to occur early, because it is then very hard to get the baby back to breastfeeding. And I don't know if you guys know what nipple confusion really is, because it's a twofold answer. What happens with nipple confusion is that the pressure of whether it's the pacifier, the bottle, or whatever artificial teat you're using will put pressure in the palate, and then it becomes like Pavlov's theory, if you guys remember learning about that in school. So now the dog salivates at the bell, right? The baby sucks at the pressure.
On the roof of his mouth.
Right. So I don't care if you have great breastfeeding nipples, you might not put that pressure on the roof of the baby's mouth. Right. And then there you go, you have a baby that is vigorously rooting at the breast, can't find it even though it's right there in their mouth.
I'm doing what I'm the
yeah,
searchers.
Yeah, I know, you're mine. She's my animation. Then the second part of that is that it flows so quickly. If I turn a bottle upside down, within 2 minutes it'll be empty without any sucking. So now you have a baby that has to work really hard, is sucking really hard in order to get this thick, oily colostrum out from mom, and now is going to go ahead and innately do that onto a bottle and take way more than they need, and then next time they come to you, they're not so stupid, and they say, do you think I'm really going to work this hard to get my milk? Not so much. So after 4 weeks, that's so established that it's much easier to fool around. Okay, and they realize a breast is a breast, no matter, in a dark room and, wherever. So basically giving a bottle at that point or a pacifier won't really interfere.
And your milk supply is
well
in.
established. Yeah. And I started to say that before. So you're very much, your body's looking for what to do at that point after birth. Do you want a big milk supply? Do you want a small milk supply? Does the baby eat mostly in the morning, hardly at night? These are things that your body wants to know from your baby. And if you start intervening there, then it becomes more of a complicated situation, and it's harder in the long run. Where if you just I tell everybody it's like learning to ride a bike. If you have to fall, you have to skin your knees, you have to get back on, and eventually, boom, you just go. You stick a diaper and a wipe in your pocketbook and you go. You don't even think about it. But in the beginning, it's a little bit harder. I mean, it's much harder than bottle feeding in the beginning.
I know,
right?
and people are under the assumption, right, that you don't have to learn to breastfeed.
No.
I think that's something you should talk about.
I don't think you have to learn to breastfeed. If you grew up in a household where your mother, your sister, your neighbor, your friend, your breastfed in front of you your whole life, and you now have 19 lactation consultants that you grew up with and that you could talk to and you can lean on, and you saw everybody breastfeeding and it was natural, 9 times out of 10 it's going to come very easily to you. But unfortunately, we're not of that generation.
Yep.
So it's not usually that easy for most people. Like I said earlier, I didn't want to breastfeed, but that's where it came from, and I tell everybody who decides not to, I'm sure your baby is going to be much healthier than my mom with whatever she mixed my 1970 formula with the Marlboro hanging out of her mouth. And I'm here, and I'm fine, and I'm healthy, and I'm strong. So whatever you decide to do is going to be okay and going to work out fine.